Colby Covington talks about the possibility of a fight with Michael Chandler. The former interim welterweight champion has been on a bad run in his last couple of fights, losing his last one to Buckley, a bout in which he couldn't display a performance nearly close to what fans saw from him when he was closer to his prime. The fight being stopped by advice of the ringside physician helped Covington create at least some angle to maintain his persona and not acknowledge the loss. But he is in a difficult position, as no title shot will be granted to him, certainly not anytime soon, and possibly ever. And there are countless difficult fights for him at welterweight if he wants to try to climb back to the top. Big fights is what he's looking for, of course, so thinking outside of the box has already begun. In his latest interview, Colby called for a fight with Michael Chandler at welterweight, gave his reason why it makes sense for Chandler to move up, and predicted how a fight between them will go.
I see myself overpowering him. You know, he's definitely done some steroids to bulk up, so 70 looks like a weight class he could fit into. You know, he's a bigger guy. He weighs like probably 190. He probably weighs more than me. He's just, you know, he's like a Makhachev, where these guys are weight bullies and they just love, they're so good at cutting weight. So some of these guys, Dennis, have perfected cutting weight. I mean, you look at a guy like Alex Pereira. The guy was cutting, what, 55 pounds? I mean, some of these guys are so good at cutting weight, and by the time it's fight night, they get 36 hours to rehydrate. So, you know, like they just blow up and balloon up. So, you know, there's no reason he shouldn't come up to 170. He keeps, you know, faking out like he's going to do it. So how I see the fight going, it's a very easy fight. I see me breaking his will. He's not going to be able to hang in there for 5. If it's 5 rounds, for sure, he's not hanging out. If it's 3 rounds, he's not hanging in 3 rounds. I'll put a different pace on him. So I just see him quitting, him breaking, you know, like in the Dustin fight, you know, and look what happened with Dustin, and Dustin's scared to fight me. So we know what would happen. It would be really bad. You know, it'd be a catastrophe for him.
Chael Sonnen questions Jon Jones's intentions after the fight with Tom Aspinall, if the much-anticipated bout does in fact take place. Bones has kept fans guessing about his next move for quite some time now, sending mixed signals and making contradictory statements about his interest of unifying belts with the British interim champion. The direction things seem to be trending at this point is positive, and more than likely, we'll get to see Jones versus Aspinall this year. What happens next is anybody's guess. If Jones successfully defends his belt, he might even stick around for 1 or 2 more fights. The last thing we heard from him on the topic of his future in the sport is that he's planning to have at least 2 more fights, which is a contrasting attitude to the one he held for a long time, when he consistently downplayed the importance and relevance of the Aspinall fight, and even threatened to retire if he doesn't get a super fight with Alex Pereira instead. Chael Sonnen comments on Jon's future, and questions if Jon only fights once this year.
Do any of you believe that Jon will fight more than Tom? Now, the spot that Jon's in, and he's only in this kind of a spot, just in case you think, well, that's not a lot of options. Well, no, you don't have a lot of options when you're the champion. You have less options. You have less ability and freedom. You used to drive Israel Adesanya crazy. Jon Jones he's in that same spot. Okay, his choices are fight Tom or don't fight. Jon isn't campaigning or lobbying for anything else. Jon fully understands it's fight Tom or don't fight. But Jon is making friends, at least publicly, with the idea of don't fight. So, if he does fight Tom, I'm completely confident he's going to fight Tom. This is not even a maybe, but I'm just sharing so we can have a conversation. If he does fight Tom, do you envision a scenario where he fights again?
Dana White responds to criticism from UFC's color commentator Jon Anik for rushing Merab to defend his title against Umar soon after capturing it, and perfectly accommodating Umar, who not only gets a title shot, but it will take place before Ramadan as well, as he prefers. Many believe that UFC has a clear favorite in the upcoming bantamweight title clash, as adding another fighter closely associated with Khabib to the ranks of champions would be something valuable to the company, considering the family ties and fans' perception of Team Khabib and the Abdul Manap school. Them getting behind Umar and not making him go through many top contenders to be given a chance to fight for the belt, just like they treated Merab, is one of the reasons for Dvalishvili's dislike of the Umar situation. UFC commentator Jon Anik, who is friends with Merab's coach Ray Longo, expressed his frustration with the way the company has treated Merab and stepped out of his neutral position as one of the company's leading voices on the mic. On a recent podcast, Jon criticized UFC's biased approach to Umar versus Merab, and Dana White responded with a short remark.
I don't know. I don't think this shit makes sense to anybody. Nobody had to turn
I
around.
started the conversation, and the promotion cuts my paycheck. So this calendar is being laid out for the challenger in front of Ramadan in no uncertain terms.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, they want to put everything in that guy's advantage. That's the way it looks like to me, but I think it's 100% going to backfire.
And I hate to say it because I don't even let my kids use words like this, but Kenny, one of the dumbest things you can do is win the Undisputed Championship and then hastily put it on the line 3 or 4 months later under less than ideal circumstances. And we're sitting here with one of this man's coaches, right?
We all take our lumps on any given day. Anik, I don't even know what to say about that. It's insane.
Aljamain Sterling can't wait to return to the octagon, and he has 2 opponents in mind. The former bantamweight champion lost a closely contested bout to Movsar Evloev, and though he disputes the loss, his performance a division above the weight class that he performed in his entire career against an undefeated contender who represents possibly the biggest threat to Topuria's belt won him back many fans who had started to lose enthusiasm about the Funk Master's potential as top competitor at featherweight and what he can offer. Following the clash with Evloev, Sterling seems to not have wasted any time on considering different possibilities as opponents. And in his latest interview, he named the 2 that interest him the most. One is a fresh matchup with Arnold Allen, another top featherweight who also has a loss to Evloev, but is coming off a win. And the second one, a rematch with Movsar. It's hard to imagine fans complaining about either one of these, and Aljo makes his case.
Arnold Allen, I think we both had very close fights. Some people think he beat Movsar, so maybe we're like the 2 defaults.
Yeah.
He said he's fighting Yair Rodriguez. That's what he commented on my post. So if he is fighting him, then okay, cool. If not, then I would like to see him in March. This is how I am in victory or defeat. I just want to know who the best guy is. I don't want you to say, well, I twisted this, I twisted that. Oh, I had a hurt rib cage, so I couldn't grapple for 4 weeks. Fuck you. I just had a 5-round fight with one of the best guys in the world, double champion, and you're talking about your stupid rib injury that you had during the training camp. All right, so that's what happens. We get hurt in training camp, as you've seen with my fight with Movsar and why I got pushed. And that's why I want to fight Movsar with a full camp. Give me some time to make sure this injury is not going to be a factor. I want to make sure there's no excuses. We want to find out who the best guy is.